Sony is 100% setting up the Sinister Six in their Spunk/MCU, because we have obviously characters being set up for the Sinister Six in the Spider-Man MCU franchise, as well as the other Spunk movies like Venom and Morbius, and we're getting Spider-Woman and Madam Web and Kraven and all that stuff. So the Sinister Six is coming. It's just a matter of when and who is going to be a part of the team. Now, so far there's a lot of theories going around, and, there's obvious members, like, obviously Vulture, Mysterio, because he's definitely not actually dead, probably Scorpion, because he was in Spider-Man Homecoming, maybe even Shocker, probably Kraven, because he's getting his own movie, and all that stuff. So that sounds like a great Sinister Six to me, but I think it would also be really cool if they went for the classic Sinister Six lineup, which consisted of Doctor Octopus, the Vulture, Electro, Sandman, Mysterio, and Kraven. Because you already have Mysterio in there, you already have Vulture, Kraven is coming, so then you just need a Doctor Octopus, you just need an Electro, and you just need the Sandman. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I think they will do the classic lineup at some point, but I do think they'll go for this other kind of modernized lineup for the first time we see the Sinister Six, whenever that happens, and that will probably be the one with like Scorpion and Shocker in there. But I am hoping that we are getting a classic lineup for the Sinister Six somewhere down the line, because like I said, there are only 3 members missing so far. And one of those members that is missing is Sandman. And Sandman has always been one of my favorite characters from Spider-Man mythology and all that stuff. Because I grew up watching Spectacular Spider-Man, my favorite animated series of all time, and I absolutely loved Sandman on that show. He was one of my favorite supervillains, whether he was going solo, whether he was teaming up with Rhino or teaming up with the Sinister Six. He was just a really, really cool character, and I obviously we got this character in live action with Spider-Man 3, but that is considered the worst Spider-Man movie of that trilogy. So not many people really care for that, but I honestly think the character was done pretty well in that movie, although that did go more for the darker, more serious tone. And with just the newer MCU Spider-Man movies, the villains, not necessarily specifically the villains, but just the movies overall have a much more comedic tone. And I feel like Sandman is that type of villain where he can still be a bad guy, he can still be a villain, but he can also be very comedic at the same time. And as you can see on screen here, this is John Cena as Sandman, and this is my fan casting idea, because I actually saw this fan art a couple days ago, and I didn't even know I wanted this until I saw it. I saw this and I was like, oh my god, that is perfect. And I think John Cena would be perfect for Sandman, because first of all, he looks like Sandman. And then second of all, John Cena is a lot better at comedy than he is seriousness, I have to say. And honestly, most wrestlers are, like, wrestlers that transition from wrestling into Hollywood and doing movies like The Rock and Dave Bautista, they're usually better, and their strong suit is usually more comedy. So I think this role would work really, really well with John Cena, and I just really, really want to see this happen. And yes, he is going to be part of the DCEU in the DC live-action movie universe as Peacemaker in the upcoming The Suicide Squad. But if we're being honest, he's one of the characters that I think is probably going to die in that film. So if his character dies in that film, then that'd be the perfect segue for, hey, come join the Marvel Universe and play Sandman for us. So I don't know when this would happen. It would probably be a while away from now, like years away. But I really want to see this happen. Plus, there's so much potential with this, because even if you don't want to have Sandman in the Sinister Six, or like after you've done that or something, after he's fought Spider-Man and all that stuff, he can still go off on his own adventures, because there are parts in the comics and the cartoons where Sandman does become more of a hero. And I've never really liked Sandman as a hero, but maybe I'd like it more in live action. So they could take that approach with this character as well, and I think I'd be happy with that. Especially because like you can have Sandman be a villain and fight Spider-Man and join the Sinister Six and all that stuff, but after that, like, what are you gonna do with him? Like, this character has a lot of potential, and his story could really continue without Spider-Man, just like how we have Venom and Morbius. But I don't think he could really hold his own movie. I mean, maybe, but I just don't think he's at the level of like Venom, and I don't think he has that much story. But I think it would work really well if maybe he had his very own series, which would make a lot of sense because just yesterday it was announced that Sony is working on developing multiple Spider-Verse live action series that may be on Amazon. And the first one is going to be Silk. But we could also get one for Sandman, which I think would be really interesting because then you could just explore his story more. And it's just like how we're getting a Kraven the Hunter movie to develop his story and his backstory and his origin before we eventually see him join the Sinister Six. So we could maybe even see this as like a prelude to see him battling Spider-Man and the Sinister Six and all that stuff. So this is definitely what I want to see from this character. I think John Cena would be a great Sandman here. And, yeah, so I just think this is a great idea. But let me know down in the comments below, guys. What do you think about this? Do you think John Cena would be a good Sandman? Do you want to see this classic lineup of the Sinister Six in the MCU / Spunk? And if you like this amazing artwork of John Cena as Sandman, definitely go check out Jackson_Caspers on Instagram. I'll leave the link to his profile down in the description below because he is the one that actually created this artwork right here. So amazing job there. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit that subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.